Oh my goodness, that's my reaction as of right now to what I saw recently because Zebec has recently announced that they have partnered up with Stellar. And yeah, you heard that right. I'm literally talking about Stellar, one of the most popular projects out there within the global trade and finance space. Now, of course, nothing I say is financial advice, but that's the thing they were talking about. Remember when they gave clues as to a massive partnership that was going to happen? Basically, turns out it's Stellar. And literally, I'm going to show the post on the screen because again, Zebec recently posted how Stellar has selected Zebec as its global stablecoin payroll infrastructure provider for the Stellar ecosystem. This is massive in my opinion. I mean, again, Stellar, come on, right? This is just almost unbelievable, but it's actually believable because it's hypothetically true. They just announced it. But besides that point, though, they also mentioned something which I think is pretty fascinating because they include basically this statement how there's going to be a direct integration to MoneyGram's 50 million customers across Latin America and beyond. That's pretty impressive. So again, we take a look at what Zebec has recently achieved. Pretty amazing, in my opinion, actually, in the grand scheme of things. So when people were telling me that Zebec was kind of cooked, I don't really agree with that. Yeah, sure. I mean, it's still down by quite a lot despite the around 10% recovery in the past 24 hours, probably as a result of this recent news. But still, in the grand scheme of things, it's still down by quite a lot. But I don't mind though, because I think that this partnership right here is seemingly pretty fantastic. Keep in mind, I've already mentioned how Zebec usually has a track record of kind of living up to their announcements in terms of the partnerships, because sometimes they make a teaser, but then at the end they actually follow through with it, unlike some other projects out there. However, let's also take this into consideration, right? In the recent Zebec Super App roadmap that I saw, sure, there was a logo when it comes to Stellar, but also keep in mind, there was also a logo of XRP. So is this just the beginning? Could this just be the start of maybe what, Zebec could do later? Who knows? But I know that the CEO of Zebec, whose name is Simon, by the way, not to be confused with Simon Cowell, it's a different Simon. But again, Simon, the CEO of Zebec, he's supposedly going to be attending the largest XRP conference in Las Vegas apparently quite soon, right? So here's the thing. Could this just be the start? Again, this stellar partnership, could it maybe translate to Ripple? Who knows? We'll wait and see. But this is the way I take a look at it. Just pretty excited as of right now seeing this because, sure, did this make ZBCN go on an independent rally of its own? Nah, it didn't do that, right? I mean, around a 10% recovery, it is what it is. But still, at the end of the day, I think this could have major implications later because keep in mind, XLM is still down as of right now, right? XLM hasn't really done much as of late. A lot of projects ever since 2025 generally have been having a pullback. But what happens if the sentiment goes back in again? If, let's say, there's a hypothetical altcoin season or maybe just a change in sentiment and people focus on Stellar maybe again, wouldn't they take a look at something that recently partnered up with it, or maybe something that people kind of consider, having somewhat of a connection in a sense through a partnership when it comes to Stellar? That could maybe happen. I've seen in some cases where a project becomes popular, they take a look at the partnerships that they have, and then sometimes this project also goes along with the ride. I've seen that in some cases. Will it happen here? Who knows? But I don't think it's too far-fetched for me to assume if, let's say, the sentiment were to change in a positive way and people start focusing on Stellar again in a massive way, and let's say some of it trickled down to Zebec, which is now, again, a partner when it comes to Stellar, that wouldn't surprise me. I mean, if ZBCN could just go back to around a 500 million market cap like what it did not too long ago, I'd be very happy because we're still around 200 million in terms of market cap, right? So we're over 2 times lower than that. But here's the thing. If ZBCN was able to reach around a 500 million market cap last year without this stellar partnership, what could it do if, let's say, now the sentiment just returned back to that point and yet now we see this partnership, right? Would it exceed 500 million in terms of market cap when it comes to ZBCN if the sentiment were to just return back to that point? It wouldn't necessarily surprise me because keep in mind, ZBCN, when it reached around a 500 million market cap, I didn't hear anything about ISO 20022 compliance, but it has it now. I didn't hear anything about a stellar partnership. It has that now. Furthermore, there's the super app when it comes to Zebec. So again, ZBCN was able to reach around a 500 million market cap without a stellar partnership, at the time without an aspect of ISO 20022 in terms of compliance, and also furthermore, it was able to do that without the super app. So these three major things right here happened after ZBCN had a pullback, right? So when people like to say, oh, ZBCN became so bad, well, the charts went down, but arguably I think the project became better. This sounds a little bit counterintuitive because in real life, usually if things become better, it doesn't become cheaper, right? But sometimes within this space, I've seen it where a project arguably becomes better, but because the sentiment when it comes to the altcoin space isn't doing the best, there's a pullback. But here's the thing. For me, I treat this like a movie. I'm not telling anyone to do anything, but again, I just want to clarify, I kind of treat it like a movie because if I go early to a movie theater, sure, maybe I'm kind of the first one there or one of the first few people there. Maybe it sounds a little bit awkward, right? But at the same time, if I go there early, I can watch the movie in its entirety. I don't miss out on the story. I don't want to wait till near the end for me to enter the movie theater because at that point, what's the purpose? It's like, for instance, if I go inside a movie theater after it's been playing for like an hour, then I missed out on like a bunch of the, storylines and whatnot, right? And I kind of apply that same mentality when it comes to the space. Usually people start caring about a project after the journey has already happened. But that's not my style. Is ZBCN at all-time low? No, it's not. I mean, far from it. But I'm saying, like, if it's around a 200 million market cap, I have no complaints in terms of believing in it right now because I don't want to, care about it later on after it's done its thing. Maybe if it could ever even do that. But it's just kind of the movie example that I used before. I like to be early as opposed to being late. This is just the way to take a look at it. If Zebec could actually pull off a Ripple partnership on top of this stellar partnership, I no longer think that Onyx could really be compared to Zebec in that close of a way anymore. I think, sure, they could still be compared because the market cap is still somewhat similar, but in terms of the raw fundamentals, it's going to be a little bit more difficult, in my opinion, if Zebec could pull it off. But the keyword is if, right? They already did pull off this stellar partnership, so we'll wait and see when it comes to future upcoming partnerships. But again, they gave a clue not too long ago, right? There was like a very small picture in their Zebec Super App roadmap. I saw the logo of Stellar and they kind of followed through with that, but I also saw a different logo when it comes to XRP. So maybe are they going to do something with Ripple? Again, we'll wait and see. But they've already followed through with this one. We'll wait and see when it comes to that one, if anything could happen as a result of that. But again, only time will tell. However, I'll be sure to make more updates when it comes to Zebec if anything were to happen or if there's like some updates. So yeah, hopefully y'all stay tuned for that. I just want to say thank you for watching, but the basic summary of this video is that I just thought it was pretty awesome what I saw recently when it comes to Zebec having a partnership with Stellar. I think it's pretty fantastic. However, I am not telling anyone to do anything. And I just want to say thank you for watching, and I hope you all have a very nice day. It's been Lee the Captain. I'm out. Peace. Bye.